Good afternoon, everyone. Warm welcome to each one of you on this exciting occasion of the launch of JR. JR is a joint initiative of Actu-Real Inc. and JCDC. This joint initiative is focused on real-world research studies. RWE is increasingly becoming important in the changing landscape of research in healthcare, especially since the pandemic hit. We will learn more about the collaboration and RWE as we move ahead during the event. To start the event, as per our tradition, we would light the lamp. I would request Jehangir sir, Dr. Chitra, Dr. Madam, Dr. Vinod Savanpadikar to please come to light the lamp. Moving on with the main agenda for today. First, to give you a little background of both the organizations. Actu-Real Inc. is a niche CRO specializing in real-world evidence studies, biostatistics, data sciences, etc. It is formed by Dr. Pierre and Dr. Chitra Lele. Dr. Pierre is MD Psychiatry and is CMO at Actu-Real. And we are very happy to have Dr. Chitra Lele with us here today. She is a PhD in biostatistics from Stanford. She was the executive director of Pfizer Global R&D. She left Pfizer and became part of the founding team of Psychormics in 2005. And she grew it to over 1,200 people before it was acquired by Covance LabCorp in 2018. I think it is regarded as one of the most successful exits in the field of clinical research in the recent years. And most of you here know about JCDC. JCDC is an award-winning accredited research institute with experience of over 320 clinical trials. We got even more busier during COVID, and we're very proud to say that we have been part of the most prestigious Covishield vaccine study. And we conducted this study pro bono on the behest of our chairman as our contribution to the society. We would now move on to the main segment of this event, the signing of the agreement. I would request Dr. Chitra and Mr. Kathik to coordinate the Let's give a big round of applause. Formalities. And I think this golden moment is going to go down the memory lane for all of us. Yes, that would be nice. You know, we can stand up for a nice photograph, please, everybody. The agreement. And now the exciting part of unveiling the logo. So I would request Jehangir sir and Dr. Chitra to kindly unveil the logo. Wow, a great moment indeed. I would now like to request our dignitaries to say a few words. I would first like to invite Mr. Pathik Dipte, JCDC, CEO JCDC.
So thank you, colleagues from Actu-Real, JCDC and Jehangir Hospital for gracing this event. Also those who have joined in virtually, Kavas, I wish you were here in person. So just to give you a little bit of a background, after forming Actu-Real, I think Dr. Chitra was looking out for the right execution partner. And right at the outset, I would like to thank Manjiri. Where is Manjiri? She actually made the connection. Manjiri previously worked with JCDC, and then later on she worked with Cyphonics closely with Dr. Chitra. And I think she recognized that there is a matching of mindsets, and that's why that connection worked. So after that, of course, I knew Dr. Chitra from being in the industry. It's a small research industry, but I think that push helped. We started talking, and then in the last year and a half, we've done about 4 projects together. The Actu-Real team also conducted an audit of the JCDC processes to get confidence. So both parties have taken their time to kind of understand each other, know each other well. And now we've taken the next step of launching a joint brand, JR. We realized that it's not only a mindset match. There is also a match in our values, and also in our execution, our delivery, and our quality standards. So we are really excited about this collaboration, and we think we've got the right team to really take this ahead. Now, moving to the main topic of what is RWE. So I'll just tell you very short. It's become quite a hot topic now, and in the research fraternity, it's now it's quite evident that the traditional way of doing research, the randomized control clinical trials are, extremely cumbersome, time consuming, expensive, and there has to be an alternative. So just to give you an example, to show you the power of RWE, I'll give you an example. Recently there has been a publication in Nature Medicine, and the title of the publication is Long-Term Cardiovascular Outcomes of COVID-19. This had two cohorts, 1,53,000 COVID patients and 56 lakh controls. So it was a 58 lakh patient study. This is unthinkable in the traditional approach. If we had to do it, in the traditional approach, the budget would be, close to the GDP of a small country. And it would take forever. It would take the lifetimes of the research parties to do this study. By that time, the data itself would be irrelevant. So this is possible because of big data in healthcare. This is possible because of electronic health records in which is now being maintained, and there is some legacy of data available, and that power can be harnessed. So that's a little bit about real world evidence. There are more facets to it. I won't go into details, but Dr. Chitra might explain about outcome-based contracts, which is another use case where real-world evidence is becoming, inevitable. So in the US, payers are, kind of forcing pharma to sign contracts where, after the launch of a new drug. And basically we have to decide where, who's going to reimburse that the payment of that new drug based on the efficacy and real world data. So that is another use case. Again, I would say that we are really excited about this launch, and thank you once again for coming. I'd just like to end by saying that we are housed in a little corner of the hospital, both HCGMR and JCDC, and we do some good work which hopefully impact lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I would now request Dr. Chitra to say a few words.
Hi, good afternoon to everybody, also those who are logged in from their homes. So as Patrick said, the focus of GR is really on real world evidence generation. So we call it a center of excellence for real world evidence generation. So there are two aspects when we talk of real world evidence. One is like the pure analytical aspect, but the other aspect is also the generative. Some of the data is generated in the normal course of events like the cancer reports, like the claims data, insurance claims, pharmacy data, etc. But there is also value in generating real world data, manual data, and a lot of companies actually conduct studies in the perspective to generate the data that answers their specific research question. And the one major purpose of creating this GR is to be able to support design and conduct those kinds of studies. So pharma industry is going to be one major customer for these things, but it's not just for pharma industry. Also, the real world studies also help in epidemiology and other general areas as well, where we want to just look at observational data, extract observational data in a systematic manner, and analyze it to answer research questions. So that's the primary purpose. Of course, there are many allied things that we can do given the capabilities of the individual organizations and the complementarity of them. As Patrick said, I was after starting Actu-Real because I always wanted to get into this area of providing end-to-end support for these kinds of real-world studies, and also Also, I want to point out that there are many such studies that companies want to do in various regions. So it's not like, because clinical trials tend to be largely focused in developed countries, and India was doing a lot of those, and hopefully again we'll see those. But for regulatory approvals, there is a requirement to generate data from certain geographies. But for as far as real world evidence studies are concerned, there is a lot of interest in doing these studies, collecting that data from various regions like Nata, APAC, etc. The requirements of these studies are different from the requirements of clinical trials. So, although the large companies, the large CROs have the required skill set for studies, they're not always able to provide the right solutions. So, be it systems, be it processes, be it people, be it budgets. And that is a gap that through this joint initiative we have bridged. Real world evidence is, as Kathleen said, it's very hot topic, but it has, the recognition has been there for quite some time that the data from trials can help you so much. It is absolutely required for regulatory approvals, because unless you do those kinds of planned randomized control studies, it's hard to demonstrate the performance of the drug. But it has been recognized that there is limitation in data in terms of the size as well as in terms of the generalizability of the data, because the randomized clinical trial setting doesn't reflect the real world scenario. But over the past decade or so, the availability of digital data, tools, etc., has made it rather easy, relatively easy, to do these kinds of studies, and the regulators have recognized that they have come up with some guidelines for how to do these studies so that they can be accepted by the regulators, and based on real world studies there are also approvals that are given sometimes. Overall, real world evidence is a big market. I mean, there are reports which say that it will be 2.3 billion by 2026, and a lot of growth is expected in the APAC region as well. So, one of our focus areas is going to be to see how we can facilitate more and more digitization of data in India from the Indian hospitals, because there's a lot of power in data and we have so much data. If we can digitize it, and by digitizing, I don't mean just having an electronic system in the hospital, because just having any EHR doesn't help so much, because the data can be accessed very easily or analyzed very easily. So there are some good platforms available which convert the data into using a common data model. They make it accessible. They de-identify the data. So all that worry about what are people going to do with my data goes away. So if we can convince the hospitals in India to adopt these kinds of technologies, then we can really understand so much more about the Indian population, health and effectiveness of drugs, all stakeholders, whether it's hospitals, whether it's pharma companies, whether it's patients, everybody stands to gain doing this if we can do it in the right ethical making sure data is protected. So that's going to be a big focus area for us as well. That's kind of the Indian context. But overall, as I said, these studies are conducted everywhere in the world, and we would like to get into those. We are already almost at the fag end of a retrospective hospital-based chart review study that we are doing in the US, in 4 US hospitals. So Actu-Real Inc has done it. So we can do a lot more of those. Most of the these kinds of studies don't really require in-person presence in those geographies. Most of the work can be done remotely. Whatever little presence is required for regulatory liaising or anything else can be managed. I mean, actually, because of our parent company, we have a fairly large global presence in many different places. So we can also address that aspect. So that's what we are planning. Actually, wanted to focus on the data, etc. Data because the operations part is really very different, and if you try to merge those two things, then something gets diluted, which was the main reason for looking for. JCDC. So that's how GR has come into being. We already have some experience under our belt before we even named this joint initiative, and we hope to do a lot more. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chitra, for the insights. I would request our beloved chairman, Mr. Jehangir, to please,
Welcome to Jehangir Hospital, Chitra. Nice to see you here. You've been explained in terms of the very fine cutting-edge work that will be done by the two organizations. As far as I'm concerned, one of my main issues, which has always been the case, is that apart from meeting of skills and meeting of minds, there has to be meeting of values. And that for me has been very, very important. So when Pathik told me about the initiative, I said that, of course, it would be really nice to meet Chitra. And very kindly, she and her husband, who I'll talk about a little separately, happened to come over for dinner to our house. And, we figured that would be the time to sort of meet and figure the meeting of minds and meeting of values. It took about 30 seconds, I think. And, then that was sort of done and dusted. In my mind, I figured that 30 seconds in my mind, I figured these are absolutely the right people to be working with. We've been blessed in having, being very careful about choosing the people that we work with. And I'm sure Chitra also has the same kind of feeling. So, as has happened so often in the past, when we have signed agreements, the last time that we see an agreement is when we sign it. That's when it will go into some cupboard somewhere, never to be seen again. So that's what we look forward to. We all know how skilled JCDC is in terms of what it has done over the last 15, 17 years. And the fact that Jehangir Hospital has always supported JCDC in every possible way, and it continues to do so. And in that same fashion, it will support this venture as much as it has supported JCDC in the past, and that includes you, Chitra. And this will be, since hospital data is really important to use, we would be very happy to be an example to show that we have no hesitation in offering our data, because we know and we trust completely that it will be anonymized, and no patient will ever have any worry about any breach of confidentiality. So all of us here, be it our research institute or the hospital, we have two hospitals, all of us would be really right behind the venture and give it complete support in whichever way you all want. So I'd like to wish the venture all the best. We'd like to be together for a long, long time, indefinitely, as has been the case with so many of our other partners. So we really do look forward to that. I said that I'd talk a little bit about Ashwin, Chitra's husband. Apart from whatever else he does in his business, he is an amazing marathoner. He has run marathons all over the world, and he is currently preparing to run the Pune Marathon over the weekend, which is apparently a night marathon. And despite his other professional preoccupations, he devotes a huge amount of passion going scientifically into what he wears, what he eats, how he sleeps, how he approaches the marathon, which I find fascinating. And that's something that we'd like to wish him well on our behalf on Saturday. He came for I'm afraid when they came for dinner, we completely disrupted his diet. But it was good to have him. So I'd like to end by wishing this venture all the very best and know that we will be with it, standing behind it, with all the values that we have stood for the 77 years that we have been in operation. And I'm sure we will go ahead with those kind of values and see great heights. Thank you very much and all the best.
Thank you very much, sir. That's very encouraging. I think we come to last segment of our event, the cake cutting. I would request the women power cut the cake and spread the sweetness. Jasmine ma'am, Dr. Chitra, Dr. ma'am, please. Come to the last part of the program. Before we end this program, I would like to thank Aarti Irani, Mr. Thakkar, Mr. Santosh, Mr. Sachin, Mr. Leo, Mr. Pate, Mr. Ambrose for a lot of help, and without all of you, this program would not have been possible. Thank you so much. And I'm really sorry if I've missed anyone's name. I'm just too excited. I would really like to thank the hospital management, Mr. Vinod, Dr. Kill, Dr. Shilpa, for Mr. Rupain for your presence and your decisions. Thank you so much. And we really wish our best to JR and really know that it's going to go great heights and make an impact. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. Please join us for snacks and refreshments outside. Please join us for this refreshment.